we thought everybody would maybe like a little history lesson, selves included, because I don't remember exactly what everybody said in October.
Right.
We just played you a little Draymond. We'll do it again in a second. But let's go back to the start. The team has made this, in my mind, a new issue again. They're the ones who have brought this back up in the last 48 hours, very much saying that this was a major part, in different ways, but a major part of the reason as to why the Warriors fell short. And Draymond Green goes so far last night with Stephen A. Smith to say, yes, we would still be playing if I hadn't punched Jordan Poole. All right. If that's the thing, if that's the reason, then let's go back and remember how it all started. So you know the incident, but do you remember what Jordan Poole said when he was asked if he thinks that he can get back to a brotherhood with Draymond Green? This was stated on October 17th.
Yeah, if I said it, I meant it. Like I said, we're here to play basketball. And our teammates and the coaching staff and the organization, everybody knows what it takes to win championship, and when we get out there on that court, we got one common goal, for 48 plus minutes. Get the job done, win as many games as we can, and try to repeat.
Yeah, I remember that answer now. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now.
Right.
When you start saying things like, we play basketball, we're going to do this for 48 minutes, it made it feel at the time where it's like, okay, so you're going to be brothers for the 48 minutes when the game clock is rolling. But then that's it. Then you want to go your separate ways. Now, it didn't bother me then. It was October 17th, and it was very fresh. But if that remained the vibe all year, and the Warriors say that it didn't, but again, Jordan has never spoken on this again. So if that is what reigned throughout the year, well, then that's a problem.
Especially knowing that this team has thrived on the vibes, Mark. And, Kevin Durant talked about whatever happened to joy. I thought we were doing joy because this team has always been about joy. It's been about the shimmy shake, the Splash Brothers, and even Draymond at his angriest and as ornery as he plays with that singular passion. And when his engine is firing on all 8 cylinders, he's an unstoppable force. And yes, he crosses the line and all that, but Draymond Green, offensively, defensively, he can be a completely electrifying force for this team. And so when that ethos, that vibe was different, and how could it not be? And you heard Jordan Poole, he sounded pretty downtrodden there in saying, yeah, it's business and it's about 48 minutes or 48 plus minutes a game, and we're going to do our best to bring back the championship vibe and all that. He was not very convincing.
Yeah, well, and very fresh. And now we know Draymond says it took all the way until January or February till things were right. Yeah, he probably was forcing answers that he wasn't even really comfortable giving. Now, here's Draymond on his relationship with Jordan Poole.
We've had a very good personal relationship. He's a guy who I've tried to take under my wing since he got here, a guy who I've advocated for, and a guy who I have encouraged to have a voice and keep your voice and be true to you and stay true to you. And so that is on me to do the work to rebuild, but on his time if he ever wants to do that. I think that is a personal choice for Jordan, and I have to accept whatever comes with that.
I asked Steve Kerr yesterday, where is your confidence that Draymond and Poole can still get back to what they were before?
Very high, because I know the character and the quality of all the people on this roster. I know the tone that Steph Curry sets in our locker room. I know that Draymond and Jordan were very close. From the minute Jordan arrived, with the Warriors out of Michigan, and they had that Michigan connection and Michigan State rivalry, and Draymond really took him under his wing. They built a relationship that was important to both of them, and so I know all of the parties involved really want us to play well. They really want each other's careers to go well, and. But it does require work, and that's going to be part of it.
Everybody's referencing what it used to be between Draymond and Poole.
The past tense struck me in that answer, what it was. And Draymond took Jordan Poole under his wing. Not that Jordan Poole is still under his wing, because I don't think that he is under his wing. So what happened from early October into late May is much ado about nothing, in my opinion. I don't know how much things actually did get better. Yes, Draymond apologized, and Jordan spoke 10 days after the incident and said, we're going to move forward and try to regain this championship caliber that we had last year. But between then and the way the year ended, it didn't feel like there was much progress in that relationship.
We're having this conversation because Draymond Green went on with Stephen A. Smith on ESPN, Stephen A's World, last night, and the conversation very much went back to this incident.
We're not playing right now because when you speak about the fouling, when you speak about all of the slippage that we had as a team on the road, not being able to come together, none of those things happen if that doesn't happen, because the voice that I am and the departments that I lead this team in, there was a ton of slippage due to me sitting back, me not saying anything, me trying to allow that situation to play itself out and giving it time to heal. But while you're giving it all of that time, guess what? I would say probably by February, I started to feel like myself again and speak more. But guess what? There was 5 months of a season where slippage has just been occurring. And by February, if that slippage has been going on that long, you are who you are. At that point, you've built those habits. You've built bad habits. That is who you are now. So to try to correct them then, it's like, okay, you may get a little better. We did. We ended up in the second round of the playoffs, but not at a championship level.
I got to tell you, man, I kind of buy a lot of what he's saying. I know that every time Draymond speaks on controversial topics, there's an immediate response for many, and it's fair, that, dude, don't talk. Lack of self-awareness. You shouldn't be doing this. But tucked into what he's saying for me is A, accountability. He's taking the blame for the entire season. And B, I think the timing of what he's saying, it makes sense. If he didn't feel like himself until February, yeah, they kind of cooked by then.
What did he do in November, December, and January?
It takes time.
I don't know if he tried, and this is where
this is
where accountability after the fact to me is not real accountability, because you let the whole season play out and it ended the way it ended, and now you're going to come out and say, well, yeah, it's of course because what happened. And in February, we finally became who we should have been. They were 29-29 at the All-Star break, and they went 15-9 after that. So they were a little bit better, not markedly better, from February on, and I don't believe you lost to the Lakers for that reason. Yeah, and you didn't have Steph before then. So Steph missed about 24 games in the year, so you could look at a number of different factors as to why they won then, why they didn't win now. I don't really believe that the season went as badly as it did because he and Jordan Poole weren't on the same page and that his voice was not one that was heard. I think the season went the way that it went because they weren't as good as last year. And whether or not that was Jordan Poole, it was Draymond Green, it was all of them as a collective. Their bench wasn't as good. Their young players didn't contribute early like they wanted them to. They just weren't as good. So, yes, he's taking accountability after the fact. But to me, what I hear him say is, well, I mean, what good is it? Yes, you're taking accountability now. Where was the accountability in mid-October when you could have made it right?
We played that
for you. But
he
didn't make it right. So
because
what he's saying is that they went through November, December, and January, and he didn't have his voice. Why couldn't you make it right?
Have you ever messed up with your spouse?
So many times.
Okay, and do you go home and say you're sorry?
Immediately.
Is it over right then?
No, but I don't wait until February.
He didn't. That's not what he said. He said he didn't feel like himself. It didn't get to start to. Right. It didn't start to get better.
No, I
until
heard what
February.
he said. Yeah.
I think we've heard Draymond say that he's apologized 100 different ways, and apologies don't resonate until the person who's receiving them is ready.
Yeah.
What I don't know yet. I don't think any of us can. I don't know if what Steve Kerr said yesterday is going to be the reality come October. In other words, does a little bit more time, and this time you get to get away from each other. Does 4 months away from one another, does that do the trick? And just a fresh start, a new season, some clarity will be involved. Like, is Draymond going to be on the team?
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
All
Sounds
of those
like he's
things.
going to be.
Sounds like it, but
According to his words.
well, he wants to be. And the Warriors are working on an extension. Whether they agree or not, we'll see. That's, to me, the question that remains. I don't personally have any questions about whether or not Draymond was apologetic and took responsibility. I just know that apologies and taking responsibility aren't always enough.
I get that.
Yeah, they're not always enough.
I don't get the sense that enough was done to where you make that right. And, Jordan Poole may never forgive him. And that's up to Jordan Poole to either say or not say. And if he doesn't say whether or not he can accept the apology, then all of us out here are going to be left to speculate on how we think Jordan Poole received the apology and whatever the apology was. And, you mentioned a spousal dispute. If you have a spousal dispute of this order, I'm not saying anything physical because that goes beyond an apology. That's into the realm
Obviously.
of criminality.
Go to jail, yeah.
I'm not saying that, but if you have a fight with your spouse and you are in the wrong and you apologize, it's incumbent upon you to make the relationship better as aggressively and as soon as you possibly can. And if you have to wait, and I hear him say it wasn't until February where I was able to get my voice back, I wonder what happened between the initial apology and when you got to February and you finally felt like you could have your voice be heard again.
Yeah. I mean, he has said a number of times that he had to lay back because he didn't have the credibility. All the players who said you need to regain trust. My perception is that it had to take time.
I get that.
Right? You don't
I
get to do
wonder
it
how
overnight.
much the organization not punishing Draymond Green affected the way Jordan Poole was either able to or not able to get over the incident. Because I'm just watching the TMZ video again, Mark, to watch it back, to refresh in my mind the severity
It's bad.
and the violence with which that punch was delivered. It was a straight up, like, out of my shoes. There was a lot of history behind that punch. I don't think that punch came from, and again, I can't speak for Draymond's motivation in punching Jordan Poole in the face, but I see a guy come out of his shoes with authority. Shout out Larry Beal. And so a punch of that heft, I don't know if Jordan can ever get over it.
No, he assaulted him.
Well, the SFPD declined to press charges.
Correct.
So it was not an assault.
Well,
according to
the
law,
the legal realm, but
correct.
By the definition of assault, he assaulted him.
At least battery, yeah. I mean, it's
Look, this is definitely going to be one of the things that's on the table at the Warriors Summit. Okay, all of us, Bonte, Shasky, Steiny, Goo, me, Dibs, JD as well, are all going to be with you from 4 to 6 at Buon Vino in Walnut Creek. Okay, let's have some drinks. Let's talk out some Warrior off-season. 1501 North Broadway, Suite 138. Come see us. Our show will be there all the way, 2 to 6, but the regular Willard and Dibs action from 2 to 4, and then from 4 to 6, it really ramps up because everybody will there. And yes, it's open to the public. So an open forum, open discussion about all of the Warrior issues that are out there. And take a listen, there are plenty. So that's coming up next Monday, Buon Vino in Walnut Creek. Come join us. It's brought to you by Kirby, your driveway mechanic. Check out Kirby at CURBEE.com. How about Kevin in Fremont? Hey, Kevin, you're on with Willie and Dibby. What are you doing, Kevin?
Well, I was waiting to express my thoughts.
Yeah.
And but before I get into that, you guys are my favorite show, and I really appreciate from the moment that you took the air together how you interact back and forth, and you just came across as friends sharing their thoughts about sports, and it's great.
Kevin, thank you. You're our favorite caller. I don't know if you know that.
Well, thanks. I have a different perspective about whether Poole can get over it. First of all, if I had gotten punched by a coworker, I'm not sure I would get over it. I might find a way to coexist. And on a basketball team, you can't just coexist. You have to work as one string on a string on offense and defense. And my point about Poole specifically is he's never met anybody he wants to guard full out. He doesn't want contact, and I'm not talking about punches now. I'm just talking about on-the-court contact. He's afraid of contact. He doesn't want to stand in there. He doesn't want to get in front of people. He doesn't mind people driving past him and reaching in and fouling. That's constant. That's a constant mode, and he hopes to get ball, but he gets called for fouls. And I made a call many months ago, and it had to do with the Wiseman thing. Well, Wiseman wasn't a fit for whatever reasons, and we're not going to go back on those. But Poole, being the fact that you're supposed to play defense on this team, Poole is no better a fit on this team. He gives up as many, if not more, points. So my whole point to this is, whether it's a punch, whether it's whatever, it doesn't matter. He doesn't belong here.
Well, Kevin, okay, now let's answer that.
Kev, you're still our favorite.
Yeah, you're still our favorite.
Even though you're getting run.
I don't, well, not getting run. I mean, there's a clock. Yeah, so, Kevin, this is a very good call.
Thank you, Kevin.
However, I respectfully, I don't agree.
With the fit?
Well, I don't agree that that's a hard line stance. Jordan doesn't fit. And the reason being he doesn't play defense. Here's what I'd say about that. There's a lot of young, offensively minded players in the NBA who don't play defense.
More and more now, I think, than ever, Mark.
It's true,
yeah,
but
you're right.
especially early in their career. You know who used to be one of these? His name's Steph Curry. I
Don't
wonder.
you defame Steph Curry. That's slander.
When he was 23, this was him. He was him.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to, especially someone like Jordan, who has the story he has. Okay? G Leaguer. Turned $128 million. This is someone who has shown he will put in the work. Okay? So what I'm not going to do is tell Jordan that he'll never be a good defender.
Right.
I will agree right now that he's a bad one. He's a bad one, and if I were him this offseason, that's what I'd be working on. I would be like, okay, it is time to figure out how I can better myself as a defensive player in this league, because I think that would up his value tenfold if he becomes a two-side of the court player.
I'd work on his balance if I were him.
Well, and yes, go
work
ahead
on staying on his feet.
Keep your feet.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like little kids at the pool. No running.
Totally.
Slow down.
Keep your feet.
That's right. Keep your feet.
I wonder how you work on defense like that in the offseason, other than getting stronger and looking at film and figuring out how you can be a better defender, because he was bad in all the phases of defense, on ball, off ball, in the interior, rebounding on all the rest of it. I wonder if the coaches have a blueprint for improving your defense. Like offense, you can improve. Like work on your handle, work on your jumper, your as Guru would talk about, or your skirt, other guruisms. But those things you can work on individually. I wonder about defense.
If only the Warriors had a player who you could go to,
like a big brother,
and ask about defense,
like a mentor.
Gosh, hang on. Let me think.
Take him under your wing. Interesting.
No, sorry, I can't think of it.
I can't think of one.
Drawing a total blank.
Andre Iguodala was a good defensive player.
He got good sweaters. He really knows how to wrap people up like that. But anyway, I
Jordan Poole fit idea is interesting.
I think the answer is yes, though. Yes, you can work on defense.
Yeah.
Steph did it.
But
he's not great.
I don't know if Jordan does fit, and I agree with Kevin on that, based on the fact that you already have two guards and a third guard who is a score-first kind of guard. You'd be better off with a Malcolm Brogdon type of guard, a guy who is more of a defense-first guard.
Maybe in this moment. I'll agree with you in this moment, but Jordan Poole is not a fully formed basketball player yet. So, I don't know. I don't know if he can get better on the defensive end. That would definitely be the goal. I do think this, though. I think it's hard to say players that have Jordan's ability just flat out, quote, don't fit. If Jordan Poole doesn't fit, like if you can't play him on your roster, well, I might have questions about you as a coach, because you can find a spot for that player. And they have, okay? Like, here would be my other response. If Jordan doesn't fit, then how'd they win a title with him? How'd they win a title with him?
Well, I mean, he was on the team, but he was not.
Played a very key role.
He played a role.
Huge role.
He played a role.
I mean, look,
we can debate this, but
he didn't have a great postseason top to bottom.
He was probably the 5th most important player in the postseason.
I mean, look, but take the whole season. Getting the 3 seed is a part of winning the championship.
Agreed.
And even in the playoffs, he had some very good games. He was better than he was this year. Jordan Poole, they're not winning that without him.
He's more of a regular season player, in my opinion, right now than he is a postseason player, and maybe it's because of the team that he's on. And you don't need him to be the scorer that he could be for other teams. But right now, for this team, I don't know how much he fits. And, if he and Draymond can't really coexist, and that's yet to be determined. We haven't heard from Jordan Poole on that. We know that Draymond has taken the blame for this season. Big of him. But we haven't really heard that he and Jordan are all good to go for next year.
No, and maybe they're not.